Hello, all. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday, Royals. Come on in. Speak when you come in. Do y'all walk into people's house without speaking? I don't. Yes, but don't walk into our homes without speaking. Say hello and make sure that you share the live. Tonight, we have a great topic, and it is on the propositions. We promise to do our part because our ancestors did their part to make sure that we could do our part. But, and as per usual, we're going to start with a good icebreaker and a good story because we have to. We have to. And we're going to try to minimize our cussing, but we can't be held responsible. Okay. So I'm going to have our co-host introduce herself and then our lovely guest. Actually, I'll tell you who the guest is. So y'all know how I say I have these fabulous women and people in my life. It's because they're my sisters. I tell y'all that all the time. And I don't think y'all believe that I have sisters because I don't bring them on because I respect their privacy. That's what I think y'all think. So this is our baby sister, Am, and she is our legal beagle. She will introduce herself later, but how could I not properly introduce the baby of the family? So Rose will introduce herself, and then she will introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Happy Taco Tuesday. It's Rose. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, Am.
Hey everyone, happy to be here. My name is Amber Rose Howard. You may call me Amber Rose unless you know me like that. And I am the executive director of Californians United for a Responsible Budget, otherwise known as CURB. We are a nonprofit coalition who has a 3-point mission. We want to reduce the number of people incarcerated, reduce the number of carceral institutions, including prisons, jails, and immigrant prisons. And we want the state to reinvest that money, take it away from the carceral institutions and reinvest that money into community, into the things that we know keep us safe.
Oh, that's good.
I love it. I tell you, my people do good things. We cuss, but we believe in the Lord and we do our part in the community. And we do our part in the community. So yes, we pop our shit, but because we do our shit. How about that? Now, let me tell you what I was looking at last night, Am. Or actually, both of y'all, let me tell y'all before we get into the BS. Everything tonight will be legal. So I was watching YouTube and it was showing an Indiana State prison for women. And of the women that were in there, there were some that were pregnant. So they have introduced a program where they take the women that are pregnant, put them in a different section once they have their babies. They let them have their babies in a true hospital outside of the prison with grace and respect. They bring them back. If you are permitted to join the program, you get to go shopping for a little bit of things before the baby comes. The baby gets to stay with you. You get your own room with the baby with a playpen and all those things. And then it gives you time to bond with the baby. They were saying that they do this because, like, let's say I'm a first-time mom, but I was a bad kid, all of these things. But you took my baby away from me. How am I supposed to bond with the baby or see the importance of getting back to my baby? If I keep my baby, then I build with the baby, I bond with the baby, and it also engages and enables me to desire to get out and do better for this baby that is mine, and I see it as mine.
That makes sense.
Why don't they? When I saw that, I was like, I'm telling y'all, I be praying about certain stuff because there's something going on in the family where somebody needs help, and calling 911 is not the answer. As well, I told you I had something last week, but it was like Am said, how are the people supposed to get better if you keep demeaning them and stripping them no matter what they do? Mm-hmm. I just thought that was amazing. And it's so clean. One of the people there didn't have her mom couldn't make it in time. So one of the ladies in there went in with her, held her hand, was like, this is my 7th baby. Like, I was crying last night.
Yeah.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah. It's just unfortunate that, because of America, capitalism, patriarchy, we don't value human life once we determine that someone has that someone is a felon or that someone has been convicted of a crime. We don't value human life the same way. I mean, the truth is, women who've been incarcerated and pregnant have been suffering the most, egregious situations you can think of. They've been shackled, feet and wrists while giving birth. Imagine that. And I don't have children. I've never given birth. But to all you women listening who have given birth, imagine had you been shackled by your wrists and your feet while you're trying to push a child out your body, or even while someone is, cutting you open to remove that child from your body. So it's like, that happens. Women have been sterilized in prison, period. As soon as you report, having any kind of issue with your reproductive system, oh, I'm cramping or I'm bleeding or I'm having these pains, the first thing these prisons have done in the last, the last 5 decades, they will sterilize women, and disproportionately Black and Latina women have been sterilized by the state. There's even been lawsuits and laws that have passed to stop the state from doing so. So the history of women and what they've experienced behind those walls when they're incarcerated while pregnant, it's just, if people really look into it, then you'll start to think, gosh, what are we actually doing to folks, right? Like, what are we really doing? If I'm shackling a woman while she's giving birth, and I'm, as a voter, even, I'm not there, but I'm voting and allowing this shit to happen because I don't have any input on these laws, I'm actually a part of that. If I don't help change that happening to women incarcerated, I'm a part of why it's happening. So we always have to think about the impact of people incarcerated and what our part is in it.
So it's very interesting that you mentioned that. So the ladies, they were bringing out the shackles and they looked different, right? But even the men that had to be involved were so compassionate, so respectful. They were like, I'm sorry, because they had to do it to get them there, to transport them, right? Okay. But when the woman got in the bed, from the point of contractions or getting epidural, they took them off. I'm telling you, I was in tears. Y'all know I'm a big crybaby, because all I could think is, how is this your experience to be a mom and you want me to connect and appreciate being a mom, when realistically going through these things as a woman, I probably have to zone out and go to a different place to not engage in what I'm experiencing that you're about to take away. I'm not experiencing nothing good. I'm experiencing that even in bringing life, because I could have chosen not to, it's still a punishment. It's demeaning. You don't even care about the extensive pain that I'm in. There's no pain greater. And you want me to feel like a human being? But they did. They took them off. And when they were breastfeeding, they didn't keep them on. They didn't put them on until they absolutely had to, like when the epidural wore off. But even the girl that got a C-section, they didn't immediately put it on her. And they hugged them and they talked to them nice and they fed them good. They created a happy space. They created a happy space. And then last part, they were having y'all will appreciate this one. They had a when they meet as a group, you know what I mean? Therapy almost. Mm-hmm. But instead of therapy, it was a Black lady and she passed around a pamphlet. It was things we should ask before we start dating men. And so they all went through it. And one of the laws there is that if you owe child support, you will go to jail. So a lot of men there don't give their real name. So you can't look up if they have a record and this and that. So one of the things was, let's talk about the stuff you really need to do. One of the things was go through their glove compartment and see if you can find their name. But they were given real human, real life experiences, tips. It was an open sharing space, no judgment because you just stabbed that man. Yes, he was beating your tail. You didn't file a report. He did though. So guess what? If we knew all of these things on the front, I don't think any of y'all would have made these decisions. Again, reinforcing you're not stupid. You know, you didn't make a bad decision, but how can we do it better? I just thought it was a really good environment. They all looked very engaged and had a real conversation. Thought that was great. So if we could do more of that, put some of those things on the ballot.
Right.
So let me show you what happened in the social media space. You need to be very careful. And we say that all the time. And I, from an employment legal perspective, say that You can't poke people and then tell them how to poke back. As well, most of the things that you all create while being in the social media space, you do it too fast. You don't protect yourselves. And this is what can happen. If you piss somebody off, let me show you.
All right, so I know all of y'all see this video. I mean, this little site. She said she got it on her site for $1. That was it. That was strike through right there. I'm gonna hit her out with a lawsuit. I promise that motherfucker gonna be so big, she gonna be on the internet talking out the side of her neck for God knows how fucking long, trying to get that money to pay me. On my mama. And I'll put the clause on there. Did nobody tell you that I put the clause on there? That this is not to be refurbished, reproduced, or reconstrued in any other way or sold by somebody who does not have written permission from me? Well, welcome to death row, baby. Because now you always under my thumb. I promise on my mama. You finna be done. I swear to God. I don't even care. Say hey to my friend Tootie.
Hola.
Bald-headed ass. And at this point, I don't even know if you bald-headed for real or not, but I personally feel like you keep half your hair in a bonnet. That shit matted up. And if you was to peel all that shit forward, you ain't got no hair. My 3 braids is killing you on your worst day. Actually, that was the wrong word. My 3 braids is killing you on your best day. Yeah, you just did it. I got everything I need. Somebody already sent me your name, your date of birth, and your address. You better pack that shit up and move by tomorrow. Because I promise it'll be there. Airmail. Fast. Now, I already mentioned that it was key parts in there, a key part in there that needed to be updated. Without that key part, you're not going to be able to use it. So you better not go buy from her. You're going to be stuck out there looking stupid. Pompano Dash, you got to come harder than that, baby. There was a glitch in the atmosphere. And honestly, I didn't even expect it, but now I'm anticipating it. All the people that spend $1 with you going to be spending $1 to lose. But it's just $1. Who needs it? Probably a homeless person that's hungry. Yeah.
I
So
don't
let me tell you what happened.
Right.
I'm about to tell you. Because you got to hear the drama first, or the story won't make sense. Let me tell you what happened. So a content creator, was creating content and mentioned Sherelle and went in on her about something that she did. When she went in on her, she didn't have all of the pieces and all of the facts and chose the other girl's side. They be having internet beef for real. They for real be choosing sides. In choosing sides, the girl tried to do like Super does and was like, for tonight, I'm going to make all of my ebooks and all of my content $7 and just use Sherelle's name as the code. Okay. Sherelle went and bought all of the content. Sherelle then went and gave everybody the code to download the content. So all of us got it. In 3 days, 33,000 people downloaded that content. That was $700 and something thousand that girl lost. But when she put her content out there, it's not protected. It's not nothing. The rule for content creation is that you can't sell it. She didn't sell it. She didn't sell that girl's information. So this is what happened, Anne, real quick. The initial girl internet beef, they got into it. As a result, one of the girls picked a side. She did not pick the girl's side we just saw. She picked the other girl's side, not knowing what happened. She then said, I'm going to make all of my content $7 for today for ebooks for you to go out there and start your own business. The girl we saw bought the content, right? She bought it and then posted the code for everybody to download it. Copyright infringement doesn't say anything about sharing a code. It says something about recreating, selling, things like that. The girl, in 3 days, 33,000 people downloaded the shit. She essentially lost $729,000, the initial girl. You're mad because you didn't protect your stuff. If I take the code, can I not share with you as my sister? I could share with her. I could share with her. You made it where it could be downloaded. You didn't even lock it where it only downloaded once. You didn't even have enough sense to do it. So you tried to be funny and you created a special in the girl's name. So the girl took the special and said, no problem, and gave it out to everybody. You then went and stole her information and put it out for sale for $1. That's those legal technicalities that I be telling y'all about. When you do something, know what the hell you're doing. The first girl that did it for free. Mm-hmm. No law was broken. The second girl that did it, trying to be funny, did it for $1. You could have did it for 1 cent. You're going to jail. Now they're about to be in court.
No, that'd be too much for me. They just like a reality show. I do not be paying attention to none of that mess.
But that shit
Me
happens in
neither.
real
I
life.
don't even know what. I don't have no clue.
But look, that kind of stuff happens in real life. Is that not similar to the girl that lunch was stolen? So she put laxative in it. When you take the law into your own hands, you probably should know what the law is. Once you took the laxative and put it in there and put it in the refrigerator to catch somebody, you took it out, you took the law in your own hands. Now you going to jail, and the person that stole it is not going to jail. You know, it's certain things when you get your get back, be smarter. Be smarter. Take 5 minutes. And if you one of these people that supposedly make all this money on social media, don't y'all know about trademarks? Don't you know about locking your shit? I can lock my stuff as an employee. I can lock my stuff that if I send something to Amber or Rose, only Amber or Rose can open it, because you got to open it from an email, stuff like that. Like, now y'all got internet beef.
What the hell?
Girl, you sound that's just too much for me.
$729,000 in 3 days. Jesus. So let's get into these props. Y'all ready for some more law?
Yes.
Okay. So the first law we are going to discuss is, I think it's Prop 6.
Prop 6. Uh-oh.
Prop 6.
Is that
Okay.
about the drugs and all that?
I'm going to play a video.
Oh,
And then-
hopefully it's one of my friends.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Because I just randomly picked him this time. So
I'm
let's
sure
see.
it's someone I know.
Okay. I'm going to pick a video, and then we'll come back, and Am will tell us the pieces that are missing, if it's some bullshit, and then what we should know. And then we are going to ask questions. So, proposition first one.
A measure that would increase penalties for drug dealers and thieves by reclassifying those crimes will be on the ballot in November.
And as Eyewitness News reporter Josh Haskell tells us, the proposition is getting mixed reviews from state and city leaders.
Prop 36, which is on the November ballot, has divided California lawmakers, including many Democrats. It would essentially unwind Prop 47, which was passed 10 years ago and made some theft and drug crimes misdemeanors instead of felonies. According to the governor's office, Prop 47 has saved taxpayers over $816 million through reduced incarceration costs. Newsom says the Prop 36 campaign is misleading.
Prop 36 takes us back to the 1980s, the war on drugs, mass incarceration. It promotes a promise that can't be delivered. I would ask those that support it, particularly mayors, where are the treatment slots? Where are the beds? 22 counties don't have one residential treatment facility. 22 counties don't have one. I mean, they're lying to you.
Prop 36 would reclassify some misdemeanor theft and drug crimes as felonies, creating a new category of crime called treatment-mandated felony, where the person charged could go into treatment instead of prison. If treatment isn't completed, the person would face up to 3 years in prison. Sponsors of Prop 36 call it a reform, not a repeal of Prop 47, and include Democrats, San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan, LA City Councilwoman Tracy Park, and Santa Monica Mayor Phil Brock.
We need to go from the era of mass incarceration, which we will not go back to, and enter the era of mass treatment. And the way we do that is by holding repeat drug offenders, repeat retail theft offenders accountable for getting the help they need. Our drug courts were eviscerated by Prop 47.
One of the things that we have seen is a significant uptick in the use of fentanyl and other deadly drugs that are fueling our homelessness and addiction and mental health crisis. We have also seen an uptick in burglaries and retail theft.
If someone walks into Walmart and steals $900 worth of merchandise, there has to be a price to pay. When I was a little kid, if I stole a piece of double bubble, I would have been punished. We're not punishing adults. Whether they're housed, unhoused, there have to be consequences.
Supporters say it would address a trio of intertwined crises facing California: unsheltered homelessness, untreated drug addiction, and retail theft. But those against 36 say it takes us backwards, makes cuts to drug programs to fund courts and incarceration, and cuts anti-recidivism programs created by Prop 47.
So, Amber, we've discussed this one already, and I think we got it right. But tell us what we're missing.
Oh gosh, y'all. First of all,
No, tell us what you feel about that video. Tell us Tell us if it's good or bad, and then fill in the blanks. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'll say that, some of it got it spot on. Governor Newsom, although he's not doing enough to fight this proposition, in my opinion, is absolutely right about this proposition. It's all bad. This proposition, if passed, will definitely take us back to an era where, they say mass incarceration, but I have to remind, especially Black folks who care about voting. A lot of us don't, but a lot of us do. Even those of us who don't vote for this, you should. Because I know that you all experience a time, especially if you're my age or a little older, between, you've had to know someone in your family, whether it's your mama, your auntie, your cousin, somebody in your family got caught up in that crack era.
Your boyfriend.
Okay, your boyfriend. Somebody was caught up in that war on drugs when there was a time when certain drugs were hitting certain communities. And, if you were a Black or Latino person in your community, the police response to you doing that drug was you going to motherfucking jail or prison, period. We're going to strip you away from your family, your children, your community. You lose everything. We're locking your ass up because we hate you so much that you can't stop using drugs, right? At the same time, in that same crack era, when all of the Black and Latino communities were experiencing these things, you go to motherfucking Beverly Hills and shit, and guess what's happening to them white women who are doing them same drugs that Black women was doing? They're not going to prison or jail because they keep using drugs. They're going to motherfucking rehab. Somebody's putting them up in a beautiful home overlooking the fucking ocean.
Water
and shit.
in Malibu.
They're getting fed and cooked meals every day. They're getting treated. They're getting therapy. They're getting help to resolve their addiction issue, okay? But instead, people in Black communities were erased from their communities because they didn't know and didn't have the resources how to fight that drug addiction. Well, we came out of that a little bit, right? After all of those years later, from the 80s all the way through the 2010s, finally, Prop 47 was passed back in 2014 that said, we've been doing this wrong. We've been punishing people for their drug addiction when truly we should be giving resources to communities, because guess what happens when people are in drug addiction? They probably are going to commit more theft. They probably are going to neglect their children. They probably are going to commit a little bit more criminalized behavior than the average person because of that addiction. So Prop 47 said, let's not punish people for reacting to addiction. Let's give them services to actually help them get away from their addiction and become thriving people. Prop 36, which is on the ballot this year, looked at all of the success from 2014 to now. We have increased the amount of resources going into communities. We have stopped criminalizing and locking up people for not being able to beat their addictions. We have helped communities come out of this weird ass war on drugs, mass incarceration shit. Prop 36 is something that law enforcement agencies and white folks, to be real with y'all, if I can, white folks who are stuck on tough on crime, who don't like none of us, they want this thing to pass so they can put us back into that era that we were in when we were stuck and when we didn't have resources. That's exactly what Prop 36 is going to do. And if you pay attention to who supports Prop 36, you're looking at retail companies like Walmart, Target, In-N-Out, sheriffs, district attorneys, a lot of folks who will actually benefit from tough on crime and from an increase in incarceration. Because when you actually look at the Walmart companies, they do benefit from incarceration. Folks should look at their connection with prison companies.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So they would benefit from more people getting incarcerated. That's why they want this thing to pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we who oppose it are people in the community. We know what's going to happen. We've seen this shit happen before, right? More people are going to get locked up, less resources for the community. We're going to see more jails being built. It's actually going to take us backward another 25 years rather than continuing us on this path toward figuring out, what do we do when people actually harm each other? We have to move away from the idea of like punishment, because what have we learned? Punishment ain't stopping shit. We still got people doing crazy stuff to each other.
It makes them angry.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's not like it's stopping people from hurting each other. So if we care about public safety, why don't we actually figure out what to do in response to harm that holds people accountable and that stops harm? Not because prisons are not doing that.
So I have a question.
Will increase that. Yeah.
I have a question. In the last several months and with social media access and the good old phone, we have seen within our own community and close to it that more officials are being caught in their car with drugs, caught with prostitutes, people in high positions, right? I want to know why do you think the thing we just saw showed the thug breaking into and stealing jewelry, when my belief is that we should be more concerned with the person that may be doing a C-section that's high as fuck, or the person that's making a decision on a lot of pass for me, or a person that's trying to divert that energy, because in that same crack era, there was a study done, and just aside of that, were those people that we look up to driving into our community and buying it because they didn't want the drug they had, they wanted the one we had. But we never see that televised. It's not something that is out there before, but just as many came in and had a much higher addiction rate because they had much more money to spend. Why are they not focused on what really should matter? Why aren't you calling to action the accountability that needs to be held and the visual picture? Because that is reality. We keep seeing it.
Absolutely, and you're right about that, and that's a big question, especially right now as we're looking at, the current war on drugs is focusing on fentanyl, right? And we know that the people who are using fentanyl the most are in Middle America, and that ain't us.
Yes.
They ain't black and brown. Them is poor white motherfuckers.
Rich people.
You know what I'm saying? Rich people and shit. They're the ones who are actually suffering off of this drug. But the face that the media wants to put out is black folks, is brown folks, because there's no better way to make folks hate something than put our face on it.
Yes.
Because we live in a racist country. Like, that's when you get down to the bottom line of it, we are in a racist country, and black folks will always be the scapegoat for everything dirty. And so you're never going to get pharmaceutical companies, who are actually producing fucking the drug and that got people hooked to it. They're never going to be held accountable. We're talking about accountability.
Yes. How did it get here?
Accountable. What about the motherfuckers who make the shit?
And gave it to us. How did we get it?
We don't make it.
How did we get it? Yes. Isn't that what I said, Rose? After I thought about it, I was like, wait, if that's fentanyl and they give it in hospitals, that wasn't made in the kitchen. So shouldn't they be going after them for getting to the streets?
And I'm sure that there's a street version of it now that's not created by these companies, but these companies are the original folks who got all the people addicted on it in the fucking first place.
Right.
Yeah, because remember, I said that before. When I first heard about fentanyl, it was probably like 10.
She's a nurse, Am.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like 10, 15 years ago. And I remember because we give fentanyl to like cancer patients or terminally ill patients that have chronic pain. So I remember when the pharmacist came in, how many years have Michael Jackson been dead?
15?
It's been at least 10 or 15.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's been like 15. Because I remember that was the time frame. I remember Michael Jackson dying and we having that in service like that same day. So that's how I can.
That's the first time I heard of it.
It was right around that time. So I remember the pharmacist came in and he was telling us from now on, when you guys take the fentanyl patches off the patient, you have to give it to the DON. And you know me, I asked a million questions. I was like, why? Oh, because the nurses are ODing on the fentanyl patches. I was like, what? And I was like, how?
So they was taking them off the patient and
taking them some, and it was, and like they said, they was gonna say it's us. I said,
serious?
But when they first said it, I said, how? They was like, they're taking it off the patient. One nurse had them all over their body. And I was like, but how are they dying on them? He was like, because when you guys take the fentanyl patches off the patient, they're still 60% effective. I said, so why are we taking them off? And he was like, because
so another thing. Okay, go ahead. Now you're milking the system. Go ahead.
100% effective. So when we taking them off, they 60% effective. Just think a person putting all those patches
who
on
don't need it.
Yeah. So then the second, another person they said was scraping the excess gel that was on the fentanyl packet off and putting it in cigarettes. Some of them was taking the fentanyl patches off the patient, chewing it up. And when he was saying all that stuff, I said, okay, right now, let's get this right here. What race were they? because that was no black person that's doing that nasty mess. And he just gonna smile. Yeah, because we're not doing no nasty stuff like that. So after that, that's when I was like, dang, okay. So after that, so 15 years ago, that's when I first learned about fentanyl being addictive. That's when we had to start giving our fentanyl patches to the DON. We had to give them back to the pharmacy or discard them together and everything. That's when I was like, okay. But it wasn't
none of the big drugs start with us, because cocaine didn't start with us either.
Right.
It didn't start in our communities or anything like that. That was a rich person's thing to be able to enjoy,
and
or
who
whatever.
would even think with the fentanyl to do that? I was like,
I would have
that's
never thought that.
Yeah, I said that. All of us was like, that's disgusting. First of all, when you take them patches off of them people for after 72 hours, it's skin cells on there, it's hair. Who a nasty person gonna put that in their mouth and chew it? Who I wouldn't even want to put that on my body after that. Who wants to scrape it off and put, like, y'all nasty?
So again, the bigger question: how
it's not us.
Can we have an honest conversation? This platform is honest and about accountability, and some of the shit is what it is, since people want to go by statistics. Statistically speaking,
can't point at us for that.
Even a hut in Africa, we have been to other countries. We see them mopping their driveways. We do that kind of shit. We are very clean and don't do those type of things. Even in the crack era.
Until they get addicted to something, then it's
but
like.
I was gonna say, even in the crack era, just think about that. How many people was around us that did it that we didn't know did it? How many of those mothers are still respected, where Becky didn't respect her mama because she saw her doing certain stuff, but certain ones of us were still respected in the household. The house was still clean. You still did all of these things. That's not in our it's not in us. That's not, your mind got to be completely gone to do certain shit like that. Chew it up. Chew what?
I was disgusted. As soon as he said as soon as he said that, I said, okay, and we'll raise
not chew it up.
No.
When chew it up, Am, you didn't catch when she said chew? You took something off of somebody's body with a disease, number one. And then you chewed it. It's all these germs in the hospital.
I'm just thinking I'm just thinking off the surface, the skin cells and hair.
Right.
It's like we have to think about, right? Like, for someone to be in an addiction that would cause them to do some nasty, fucking filthy, disgusting shit like that. And our answer as a society is, oh, punish them.
No, mine is what's wrong.
What?
Yeah, mine is what's wrong.
Like, what's wrong with them?
Like, shit like that. Something wrong with their ass.
I have empathy.
What do we punish them for? We need to treat them, right? Like, so that's what Prop 36 is going to do. Instead of treating people for real, it's going to force people into situations where it's like, take this treatment or go to jail. What I've learned about treatment is you can't treat someone who's not ready to be treated. Period. It'll never work.
Right.
So when our courts say, well, we gave them a treatment option or they can go to jail, forcing someone into treatment is not going to solve the problem. Boo.
Thank you.
We have to look at the underlying issues of why they're using it if we want to resolve that addiction, right? So Prop 36 will not do that. Prop 36 doesn't give a shit why Becky or Roro or whoever the fuck is using drugs. It's just going to lock people up.
No.
And so we're saying, no, we need to make sure we understand how to help people get out of that addiction so that we don't erase mothers from communities, that we don't erase fathers, that we don't erase and eliminate people from the world, that we actually help them thrive.
Okay, so
No on
for
Prop
Prop,
36.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. So it's no on Prop 36.
No on Prop 36. Hell no on Prop 36. Please.
So let me just say this, and Am started out with it. I'm pretty sure that you know somebody. Here's what I want you to also think of, because this world is a messed up place. Let's say you're in a bar and somebody puts something in your shit and now you're addicted and you're going down this horrible path. You're a good person, right? You're not doing nothing to nobody, but you're doing this drug, right? If it's your family member, if it's somebody you're voting for, or if you're sitting on a jury, look at yourself. How would you want to be treated if that were you? Do you think somebody just when they're a kid says, I can't wait to grow up so I could be on drugs.
Right.
And to Am's point, once you get addicted to something, it's not easy to get unaddicted. I'm addicted to foods that don't serve my body. I have never been an overeater, but I have been overweight because I'm addicted to foods that don't serve my body. Should I be punished for that? My punishment comes from myself. You know, if they're not doing things to other people, they're on drugs, so they broke into something. Well, you're not really in there for drugs. You're in there because you broke into something. Now, when I have you in here, I can try to rehabilitate you, but I can never take. What about if you smoke cigarettes? What about if you overdrink? Any of those things used to be illegal. They're not illegal now because it did not hurt somebody else. You have to get to the root of the problem. What you can do is offer them therapy, because something happened to make that person more than likely, I would beg to differ, more than likely 80%. You didn't do it because you just wanted to party.
Yeah.
You did it because you were molested, you were mistreated, you have low self-esteem.
Some kind of unprocessed trauma.
A big trauma. A big trauma. You dated the wrong person that told you this is only this. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people in those 80s crack era. They didn't know what they were doing either. They didn't know that it was that bad. What if that were you? Would you want to be sitting in jail? Or to her amazing point at the end, I can rehabilitate somebody that doesn't want to be rehabilitated. So on the outside, I look good sitting in there in my judge robe saying, I gave you 3 chances. You didn't give me shit. If I wasn't ready for that, you didn't give me anything. You set me up.
We also have to look at ourselves, like when we talk about actually holding people accountable for the drug addiction and issues that we see in our communities. We have to think about the fact that, for example, pharmaceutical companies who started pushing opioids to communities in the first place, they had, scientists who knew very well that these things would be highly addictive and deadly for people in the community to use. Now, they decided, you know what, fuck it. We trying to get our bread, just like drug dealers in the community who end up going to prison for trying to get their bread. These pharmaceutical companies
for 30 years
shit. For decades and decades and decades, they've been doing this. Even if you think about the sugar industry and how many people are dying because of diabetes, but these companies and these pharmaceutical companies, these industries, they're never held accountable, even when taken to court and proven that they knew that these things were going to be addictive and deadly to people. Oh, well, pay the government $900 million, and then you can continue to produce your drug. Just change the label. Yeah. But nobody goes to prison. Nobody's father or mother or brother or sister is erased from their community and they are literally the dealer and the motherfucking supplier. Our folks are locked up for being a supplier, and they don't even got shit to do with the production or the dealing. And even when they get into it, it's really these pharmaceutical companies who have introduced this shit anyway. So if people want to think about safety and holding people accountable, I beg you to ask yourself, is crime a social construct? Is crime actually constructed to only apply to a certain demographic of people, or is it crime for everyone? I'll even take it to the degree of murder. When we think about murder, the worst thing, right? Murdering someone. Well, it's a crime if either one of us go and murder someone right now. But is it a crime when the police kill? Never. They had a right to do it. Rather, the only reason they had to do it was I was in fear of my life. Even if that person didn't even have a weapon, I was scared, I killed them, and I can get away with it. Does the military get away with murder? Absolutely. They murder women and children all over the world, including in Palestine right the fuck now. Is anybody being taken to prison for those murders? Women are being raped. Is there anything being done about that? Right now in the United States, because of what Trump did in his previous presidency, women don't have the right to healthcare opportunities when they want to terminate pregnancy. So women are dying at higher rates right now in this country because they don't have reproductive rights. Is Trump or anyone who passed those laws going to prison because of the death rate of people who need reproductive rights? No. So is murder really a crime? Is murder really? That's what I like to people to think of. And of course, murder is morally wrong. No one should murder. That's not what I'm saying, right? But I'm saying when we think of crime and punishment and accountability, we're actually not holding the worst murderers, rapists, and thieves accountable for a damn thing. We're only holding the people on the bottom who hold the weight of the country up on our shoulders. We only hold those folks accountable when they hurt people. We're not holding nobody else accountable. So fuck prisons, fuck jails, vote no on Prop 36.
With that
Right
said,
now, 'cause we was right on that one.
Yeah.
See if we could do all of them.
So next we're going to do Prop 6. Am, do you want to come back next week to do the rest?
I can come back.
What is next week? Will it be time? Oh, if she come on Tuesday, we could do it. Yeah,
What?
No, we're trying to make sure it aligns with the with voting.
Oh,
I know that's why I said if she come back before Tuesday, it'll be fine.
Yeah, election day is next Tuesday.
Yep. So
Yeah,
let's move
but
the
no,
show.
it'll be too late on Tuesday then.
Let's move it to Monday. You want to move? You want to do Monday?
Monday, yeah. Let's do Monday.
Monday. Okay. So we'll move Tuesday's show to Monday, you guys, so that we can do the rest of the props. We're going to do Prop 6 next. So let me show you the video that I pulled, and then she will tell us if it's some bullshit.
Proposition 6 would end what's called indentured servitude in California prisons. Right now, under the current system, an inmate can be forced to do things that the prison needs or the state needs. This measure would end that, saying that prison inmates should not be forced to do work that they don't want to do. And if they refuse it, that shouldn't be held against them by the prison authority. They shouldn't be punished for that. Supporters say this is a vestige of slavery, and Proposition 6 will end that. That if you want an inmate to do something, you need to make sure they're paid for it and that they volunteer for the work. Opponents, and there are a few, who say, listen, we're managing a prison system where some work needs to be done despite the fact the inmate might not want to do it. And remember, they're being held in prison because they violated the law. They're being punished. Proposition 6, ending indentured servitude in California state prisons.
So say the answer first before you start talking, Amber. So is it yes or no?
Vote yes on Prop 36.
Oh, he was right. So he was right. I'm comparing my notes to your notes. So
Right. We literally got it right here.
On the last one, I can't remember we did yes or no because we was confused, kind of.
We did no. After we had the second conversation, we said no.
Yeah, and then but on Prop 6, I did put yes, so I was right on
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So yes.
yes.
Okay.
Yes on Prop 6. No, no, no on Prop 36.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes on Prop 6.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about Prop 6.
We want Prop 6 to pass. So what we've been looking at, and I think what a lot of people have been talking about since I think Michelle Alexander put a book out years and years ago, the new Jim Crow, which helped people understand kind of what we were just talking about with Prop 36 about, mass incarceration, the war on drugs, and all of this. And what we get down to is in the Constitution of the United States in the 13th Amendment, which Ava DuVernay, this is not an endorsement, but that fucking documentary that Ava DuVernay put together, about the 13th Amendment. I think it's called the 13th actually, but it's great. And it helps people understand, y'all, slavery was never truly abolished. It is legal.
Correct.
The 13th Amendment says slavery is legal if somebody is convicted of a felony for a crime. Okay. That's in the Constitution. Now in the California Constitution, there is also that same language. In California Constitution, it says the same thing. Slavery is legal as long as someone is convicted of a crime, of a felony, okay? And so what Prop 6 is saying is, y'all, fuck this shit. Let's stop having constitutional slavery in the California Constitution. Yes, we want to get rid of it nationally at some point, but can we start here, California? We claim ourselves to be the big liberal leader of the United States. We're always blue. We're always doing the progressive thing. This is a progressive thing that we can do. We can say California refuses to have language about slavery that makes slavery legal in our Constitution. We want to get rid of it. And that's exactly what Prop 6 will do. It's going to make sure that people who are incarcerated are not treated like slaves, that you don't have to do forced labor. Okay. And I think that actually helps us think about people who are incarcerated in a more humanizing way, which we should be doing anyway. So Prop 36 is a first step and helping us break down why we're using prisons and what they're here for in the first place. And honestly, it's 2024. Why does any state in the whole union have language about slavery? That makes slavery illegal. This is crazy, right? So Prop 6 will get rid of that. So everybody, and you know what? I'll say this too. People on the ground, Legal Services for Prisoners with Children is a organization based out of Oakland. They started All of Us or None. All of Us or None is my birthplace for community organizing. I organized for All of Us or None in Watts, South Central, and Long Beach. And, they're the best grassroots organization I've ever been a part of. It's a national movement to restore the rights of formerly incarcerated people, okay? And All of Us or None, LSPC, has organized people all across the United States that have agreed this is something that needs to happen in order to push this movement forward. And I just shout out every formerly incarcerated person who, number one, didn't even know their legal rights to vote. They didn't know how they can be civically engaged. But these folks, after all the struggle that they've been through in this system, come together, organize, and have helped put this shit on the ballot for California. So shout out to all the formerly incarcerated people who didn't let people give up on you, who claimed your own humanity, who's making sure that people recognize our humanity, and who got this on the ballot. Please vote yes on Prop 6.
I'm glad I was right on that one.
Yeah.
We went back and forth with both of these, like, wait, I think this. And then after we thought about it, we was like, wait, this can't happen without that. So maybe that ain't right. Maybe we should change it. It got to the point where you had to, like you said, somebody that's been in there, or your own personal experience.
Yeah, we were saying that it wasn't fair for them to have to work for 10 cents.
You'd be like, what?
Yeah, you work for 10 cents and they making you work. We was like, the only people that should be made to work is like pedophiles and people that really did stuff that should be in jail. Yeah, they should be. I don't care. You should be back in slavery. But somebody that's just in there, they shouldn't be made to work for 10. Are you fighting fires for, what they say, $10 a day or something? Like, come on now. So that's why
it's for me, and I get the idea about the worst of the worst, pedophiles or people who are convicted or classified pedophiles, murderers, all this. I get that we all want to say they deserve it too, but what I would beg people to question themselves on is, when we say that this treatment is okay for even one category of people, that means it's okay for the rest of us. We have to understand the reason why even white folks are locked up to this day is because somebody said it was okay to lock Black folks up. So even in our own judgment and how we see people, when you say that caging a human being is okay, you just have to violate this lane of morality, then it makes it okay for everyone. And we also have to remember people who are locked up for murder and rape and pedophilia and all of these things, when looking at the historical context of this country and even current context of this country, how many people are locked up for those convictions that are completely innocent?
So we said that too. We actually brought that up.
To say, well, if you're locked up for rape, well, if you're locked up for murder, if you're locked up for pedophilia, because baby, you might be completely fucking innocent of that shit. We don't know. All we know is you've been convicted of it and a jury said, or you took a plea deal that said. So I would like to ask people to say, instead of just saying bottom line, if you're locked up for this, we have to think deeper than that, because there's a lot of people suffering from those convictions inside. I mean, we know so many stories across the United States through the Innocence Project, right? Where guys have served 30 years and then finally DNA gets tested and they're like, oh shit, my bad, brother, it wasn't you. Oh shit. Right. But we have been kill him, fuck that dude. We've been so angry at these people who are convicted of these things. And we actually don't, because our system is so fucked up, we actually don't know who's innocent and who's truly guilty, right? So I beg us to think about the larger picture of, damn, even if the system worked, if one person is put to death or put in prison for committing one of those things that shouldn't we question what we're doing here?
So we actually brought that up.
If one
brought that up, Ann. We did, because there are several things going on in the city that we come from. Some are true, some are not true. And we said that. And then
Lord.
Right. Then we played some videos, right? We played videos of the baby that was in Long Beach that was on his way to school. Something happened. The family got money. After her mama took her money, now you want to come back and say it wasn't true. So in today's society, we were saying it would be great, and I don't take this back, if it was something like I walked in and saw it, right? We know that happened. Video, anything where it's absolutely proven and no other like how they could set people up could happen. That is a different group of people. Is that what I want in my heart? Yes. And I discussed that in my heart. But legally, we changed our answer because of that very same thing. Like how many people is in there and they didn't do it? Or how many 18-year-olds is in there because you're Black, but your girlfriend was 17 and now you in there with that above your head. So we really broke it down on the last one after thinking about shit. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? Or what about if the murder was you was getting beat, you was you know, all of these things was happening. Now you a woman in there. We all know that women are disproportionately in jail because of something they didn't fucking do.
To be real with you, like,
no, real shit. You know what I'm saying? Because listen, y'all, even in other countries, you got to think we have some of our own women in other countries who went on a date with their boyfriend and their boyfriend had drugs in their bag. This could be any one of us. So when you think about these things, I feel like it's safer, especially with something like this. Give the money. I would err on the side of caution. That could be me versus creating something that's so strict that if I ended up in that situation and you couldn't figure out that I wasn't guilty for even one day, I don't want to be treated like that. So it's better to think about that because my heart breaks for those people more than wanting somebody to suffer so much because God gonna take care of you. If I truly believe in God, 100%. He gonna take care of you, right? This year is very emotional, and that's why it's in there, wisdom over feelings. We all have feelings. You may have somebody that's violated. You may have experienced a murder. I've experienced all. Even in that, I still don't want the one person that didn't do it to suffer so much.
Suffering. It's too much.
It's a lot. It's a heavy burden.
Like we shouldn't even be putting this on society to decide. Like even
the
death penalty just being a thing. It's like fuck. Like y'all have to understand. When we send people to the death penalty, us as voters, we're responsible for that death too. Because we decided
I don't
that
believe
it was
in
okay.
death penalty
at all. Me neither. It's crazy.
I really do hate it. It just be certain people, but now that you say that, because it be certain people, I'd be like pedophiles.
Well, me too. I'd be like, oh, fuck, you know, look.
Like you wasted our money.
You didn't even need to go to the court.
Yeah, we know for sure you did it. That's different.
Like if we know for sure you did it, and it'd be certain people, I'd be like, electric chair. I'm going to get them.
That's our immediate reaction, right?
Yeah, but
like Jeffrey Dahmer or something. We be like, kill that nigga.
Right, it's Jeffrey Dahmer. Why not? You know,
like why did he have to go? Why did somebody like that have to go to court? Like y'all know that he did that, so why are y'all wasting our time? Let the inmates get him. Like,
but that's the law. That's due process. By the way, did y'all know that the Menendez brothers have been granted resentencing? And it's a very controversial topic. Because remember back in they did that shit in '89. I think their trial.
I don't think that they should be
93 or 95.
I'm gonna watch that thing over because they trying to say I don't know because I kind of feel like they trying to say that the daddy did something to them. Why? I don't know.
Listen, I've watched this.
And that's for those I don't know get you.
You don't know because it's really crazy because they never said it in the beginning. Even when they confessed to their therapist, they never told the therapist. They confessed to the murder to the therapist, but they never mentioned the abuse.
They
went and spent almost $1 million like weeks after they murdered their parents. Like there's all these things, and the abuse didn't happen until trial. So it's like y'all niggas just lying so y'all can get the fuck out.
And why did y'all have to do it to your mama? Why didn't you just do it to the daddy?
Talking about because she knew about it and they feared that she would do whatever the dad did. They feared that she would kill them with the dad if the secret was exposed or whatever. So, I mean, and all of that is just, I think it's crazy because truthfully, I do believe that people who hurt people have been hurt people.
Yeah.
Them niggas was 18 and 21 and they blew their fucking parents away. Like,
nothing.
Murder scene was crazy, blood everywhere. Like, You don't that's normal.
That's not right in
over-
the head.
It was
Normal people
overkill,
don't
but
do
like what they call it, a passion of crime.
Ooh.
Passion of crime. That when it's somebody that's related to you or you was in a relationship with them, most of the time their crime scenes are like that. It's like
Oh,
overkill.
yeah.
It's overkill, and they be calling it a passion of crime. So that's
Yeah.
how it is. It's just I don't know how to feel about them. I'm like, if it was us, y'all ain't about to let us be racist.
If it was us, they would not, because I have a cousin right
No.
now, and you're absolutely right. I have a cousin, a distant cousin, on my paternal side anyway, and he's been locked up in California State Prison on death row since 1986. And ain't nobody looking at his history or this or that, right? So it's like, you're absolutely right. It's different when it comes to us, this hue, the melanated people, you don't get those same opportunities. I'm glad that the Menendez brothers are getting a review, because I do believe lots of people who have life without parole deserve.
Everybody else did, so they should too.
Because we do.
Yeah, they should start doing it for everybody. But
They
it's
should,
just-
especially us, because the felony murder rule, right? Like the felony murder rule, honestly, is why a lot of people are on life without parole or the death penalty. Because if you with somebody and they murder somebody and you didn't even know they was going to do it, but you were there, you get to go to the death penalty.
Mhm.
You
Right.
get life without parole too, right? So we actually have hundreds of people who are sentenced under that thing, and they never even killed anybody.
So let me ask this question, the final question for tonight, because it all ties in. Something else that we brought up is that if these laws were positioned differently, if we trusted the system behind it, if all of these things, right? Some of these things will be easier for us to make a decision. At what point or how do we go back and revisit some of these laws that are there and do the internal work that needs to be done and accountability and such before we create new ones or make us vote on things like this? Don't you need to fix the system inside first for people to be able to? That's not fair.
I'm like, well, I mean, that feels logical and feels right, but I think it's Audre Lorde maybe who said that you can't rely on the master's tools to tear down the master's house.
Right. That's what I mean. So how come we can't create something for somebody else to go in and you give it like an audit, similar to an audit, like that thought
And
process?
we do. I think we like to call that we call those abolitionist reform. So like
Okay.
you reform the system in ways that really change it drastically, but also you can't let that reform sort of build up something else that you'll have to tear down. Right. So like you make the changes that you need to make, and you make sure that they don't advance the bullshit. They really have to be strong changes that move us into a different direction. So for example, if we say we're not gonna, there's, for example, something called a 1-year sentence enhancement. If you've ever been to jail before, we can give you an extra year for every time that you've ever been to jail. That's crazy. Just give me time for what I'm coming for right now, right? So like a reform would be, let's actually get rid of that enhancement. Let's not give people extra years.
Okay.
Now that's something we can look toward to say, okay, that seems fair. That seems right. You're still
Right.
going to be held accountable in the courts for what's happening right now, but we can get rid of that. So I'd say that we should continue to do reforms that erase bullshit. Don't
Right.
create more bullshit, but we can really start to erase a lot. And even if you're not an abolitionist like me, there's still a lot of things that you can agree on that we don't need to be doing anymore as far as public safety, right? So we can all come together and work on those things. And I think that's what really will help move society, honestly.
And how does somebody come together and work with those things or find where their passion is and just do one? I always say if everybody could do one
thing, yeah.
Then you move the
Honestly,
needle
stuff
forward.
like this, platforms like this, where people can talk, get information, listen. There are community organizations who do this shit in person, where we talk, get together, and listen. The only way to actually build all of the change that we need is really building community and talking to each other, because we've all had certain experiences that will influence policy, and unless we can build together and come to a medium, all of our policies are always going to be crazy. So I think it's really about identifying organizations that are in your region or in your area, your city, or whatever. CURB is a statewide organization. We're happy to connect with folks and help people connect with people close to them. But really, it's about, if you really want to see change, you got to get involved. See what's going on around you. Talk to your homegirls, your family. See who might be involved in something that might know something, and that's how we spread the word. It's like our ancestors did, right? Word of mouth, word of mouth. We got to talk to each other. That's how we move the world.
So our new form of doing the march, I finally learned what that was about, by the way. Remember, I was like, why are we still marching? Because it don't do shit. Well, I learned, and I was right. They did marching before because they didn't have phones and stuff. So they was getting the message forward. Now when I see a march, I'm thinking, what the fuck are you marching and putting on a shirt for? Take that money, go to this organization, because now we don't need the money you spent on that shirt. Okay, take that money and go give it to an organization that can support and move this needle forward. That picture you just took and posted on social media, what was the action after that? Now we're in a position to do an action item. That's what I mean by that. If it'll be better if you show up. And here's the thing. People think that they have to change the law. When I show up to places, I show up and say, I know how to do HR. What do you need from me? Because that business needs somebody to support.
I can take notes. I can clean up. I can bring plates. I know how I have a catering company. I can provide.
Yes. Right.
Everybody can find something to do.
Yes. And I think that they think that you have to be the one that moves the needle forward. You can also be everybody. It's a head and it's a tail. It's chief and it's Indians. It's something you can do.
Where you fit in. Yeah.
Get in where you fit in. And then you did your part to move that needle forward. And I want us to start having more pride in our community and knowing that what you can offer is enough. What you can offer is actually needed. If you came and brought all the water, if you ran to the store, if you watched the kids while the grown-ups went in the other room and talked.
100%.
I'm just saying, we don't think that our impact is great enough if you're not the one in the front on that platform and being recognized. But it's a feeling that I can't explain when you help with something from any perspective, even if it's writing a check. Some things I'm too passionate about, so I can't show up, but I show up by writing a check because I just can't.
Money counts. Money counts.
You know,
absolutely.
Anything you can do.
Great resources. Absolutely. Everybody can find something to do to help change this world, to be honest. Honestly. Really can. Even if it's holding on to kids in your neighborhood, mentoring them, handing out fucking cookies or something. You see them kids coming home. Kids get in trouble when they're hungry. Buy them kids a pizza in your neighborhood. Okay? Feed them babies. Hand out some eggs or something. You know, honestly. So everybody can do something for real. For real.
I agree. So, Rose, that was my final thing that I wanted to share. Rose, what is yours? And then we will let Am end.
Nothing. Amber did talk. You did real good, Amber.
Thank you.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot tonight.
Right. I think it's important for people in your own community to talk, because you can hear something and just like at work, and Am can attest to it because Am has worked for me.
1,000%.
The policy that I saw is not the policy that they heard. When you come in with me, I said it in a way that you would understand, because my goal is for you to understand. I don't want to keep nothing from you. So now when you talk about things and it's like, remember when your baby daddy went to jail? Yeah, you didn't like that, huh? So let me tell you, it's just different. It helps you connect. If we connected more, we would feel better and understand that we do have a purpose.
She did good. I understand it a lot more when she.
I do. So we will be back on Monday at 8 instead of Tuesday, and we will discuss more propositions for those late voters like myself, or if you just want to be reassured that what you voted for, you feel good about, and to get out there and now make sure that that proposition is pushed forward properly if we get what we want, because there's work to do after that.
That's right.
You can go ahead and close us out, and then we are done.
I just say thank you for this platform, Madam Asia, Rose. I love this. Black women, let's continue. We are the change in the world. Nothing gets done without us. So I hope everybody really, especially Black women who are listening, just really find what you can do to influence your neighborhood or your sisterhood or whatever you got going on. Our voices matter. And I really appreciate no on 36, y'all. Yes on 6.
Got it. Everybody like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next week. Good night.
Bye.